And we're live. Hello and welcome to a special episode of Maddie ALLin Live with Hodpril. Welcome.
What's going on, Maddie? Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. I'm doing like a huge series of interviews leading up to the PulseChain conference and getting people fired up about using crypto instead of just thinking about the price. And yeah, so I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
That's awesome. Today I was feeling kind of rocking. I have this, I got this Hex merch, like all over and Pulse stuff, but this is a bandana, right? So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling kind of like Axl Rose today with my bandana usage. So that's why I prompted the rock star background. Today's gonna rock, Maddie.
It's a solid motif for sure.
Yes. Feeling
So, yeah, like we can talk about kind of wherever the conversation goes. There's so many things that I'm excited about with PulseChain. What about you? Like, what are some of the things you're excited about these days?
Well, I've been excited about the Pulse stuff. I have these little side projects in my head that I'm thinking about. They're not tokens, but if it comes to fruition, you guys will figure out what I'm talking about. It'll be fun. But yeah, I'm running Stable Diffusion again. I'm trying to figure out like how to add these Excel models and whatever. So I've just been kind of nerding a little bit. Oh, I got my energy drink. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
So you have a custom PulseChain energy drink there.
Yeah, it says it has 120 milligrams of caffeine, but for some reason it just seems to pump more than that. I don't know. So maybe you'll see as the stream goes how it does.
Yeah. Well, on PulseChain, we like our energy drinks like we like our chain to overperform.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly. So how are you, Maddie?
I'm great. Yeah, there's a million things that I'm excited about. I did hear a rumor that Big Kurkowski might collab with you to try to get some PulseChain energy drinks for the Bitcoin conference meetup that's going to be happening in Nashville on July 25th through 27th.
I mean, I use DIY Beverages, which is like I was looking because I wanted to do some energy drink things. I thought it was a good idea. And they're in California and everything. And they're just, send us a label and you can pick a flavor profile and we can put whatever stuff in it. We could put caffeine in it or health things. You can either pick, synthetic or non-synthetic flavors and all that stuff. So it's like, that's crazy. You could technically just order, and it's not just a Pulse chain can. You could put anything on it and just order from them. So it's like, okay, well, here's the label and do whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's really brilliant marketing. And that's what I see in a lot of people in our community. They have great ideas and maybe marketing isn't your background, but it's still you're able to contribute, and then other people pick up on the network effect. Big Kurkowski is going to be buying. He got approval, from the Bitcoin conference people to have a booth for the highest of stakes, and that's kind of a big deal because it was 2 or 3. It was like 2 or 3 years ago that they kicked out Ross Ulbricht's mom from speaking after she'd been speaking every year because she launched an NFT on Ethereum in the 2021 bull market. So like the Bitcoin maxi royalty crew does not like other projects, other chains, other stuff, but somehow Big Kurkowski, he cracked the code. And so, yeah, he was saying that he might use your marketing idea as well.
Right on. Cool. Spread the word. It's a better fork of Ethereum, right? That more throughput, less gas fees. It's awesome.
And a better fork of Red Bull as well.
Pulse bull run pretty soon. Although I'm patient, I'm not in a huge rush. I mean, by all means, shake out what you need, but it's going to go back up, and it's going to be cool. But I think it makes sense. Like all this stuff on the chart makes sense to me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
What is it with? It seems to me like the community on Twitter and some people on YouTube seem to be really reacting to the price this time around. And I'm not sure if you can give your thoughts on that, because I feel like either I'm different or the community is different than like the early days.
Hang on, Maddie. You know what? Hang on. I think my headphones might be going out. So let me do a quick change.
Sure.
See, we're gonna do this by the fly by night. Hang on.
Sure. We got a lot of people here in the chat that have shown up. Shout out to everybody who is complimenting Hodpril's.
I like your banana. I don't have a. Oh, that was bandana.
Bandana.
Duh. It's like, I don't have a banana. I have an energy drink. Oh, wait. Oh. Aw, thank you. Oh, hi, guys. I should look at the chat. Hey, amigos. What's going on? Sorry about the headphones thing I had to do, but I'm always prepared with a backup. Ooh, now I'm blurry. Cool. What else could happen? Fly by night away from here. Cool. All right, we're good.
So what is it with the community like being so worried about the price these days?
I don't know, because you know what? Like when it pumped up earlier, everyone was excited, and then it dumped back to pretty much like what it was. So the way I see it, and maybe this is kind of stuck up of me, but I mean, most people just seem to have a 2-week attention span, like 2 weeks long, or 3 weeks, right? Like most, but I don't remember 2 weeks ago. Oh. So then they're just sad, you know. But if you're aware of that cognitively, I mean, you know, you have psychology experience, you're a psychologist, so it's kind of like life is longer than a 2-week block, right? Like it hasn't just been doomer. It was just pumping a lot and then went back to kind of what it was. So whatever. Twitter's crazy, but I guess if you go on there and tweet and just hashtag PulseChain, at least you could take advantage of the SEO, right? Like no matter how people are talking about PulseChain, just tag and keep talking, because then we'll start trending up on Twitter.
Yeah, it's we are a community that has like, you know, come in numbers, and I see other big channels and big groups that used to gatekeep us, they're starting to pay attention. Like Crypto Banter today was talking about Hex on PulseChain in a special video that they made. So I think Hodpril's internet may have been glitching out for a second. So here she is. She's back. You're back.
What else is gonna go wrong? This is
well, the Matrix really doesn't want us to get the truth about PulseChain out there.
Well, guess what? We have enough gumption to push through that Matrix. Yeah. No air can keep us back from rocking today. So
that's right.
Hello.
Did you see that Crypto Banter like video today about PHEX?
No. Do you have it?
So Ran.
If not, I'll look it up later.
I can recreate it. Ran is walking around the office first person style, and this has been cut up, so it's like you know, really for the short attention span people. It's he's asking people around the office, do you know what the biggest bubble is today? Like the on their Banter bubbles thing. And he's holding his phone, and you can see that it's Hex at the beginning. And so he's asking, the first woman doesn't know, the second woman, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. And then the people he started asking, they were like, oh yeah, I'll tell you about PHEX and how it's on PulseChain and this and that. And so it was like, yeah, it just caused a lot of positivity, like it seems like, in the community. Cool. And
yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Is unusual from that channel. And so it makes me question if PulseChain is starting to be on people's minds more,
Oh,
maybe.
it has to, because it's just good to use, right? And I would say a lot of that has to do, even though people don't usually buy too many NFTs, sometimes they do. The fact that they can make so many, and so many are being exchanged, and so many people can have projects with them, is making people a little bit bullish on the structure of PulseChain, because it's such a pain in the ass on Ethereum to even just mint anything or just to make an NFT, right? So the artists are super excited about PulseChain, and I know
Yeah.
Kool-Aid's got his projects, Klaus does the Mana, and uh, Georgia. A lot of people are getting into it, so that's pretty cool. And I'm thinking of I know the price is up and down, and there's stuff with Richard, and there's the bridge issue. Some people don't know how to use it yet or whatever, but just the functionality of it's fantastic. It works. It's faster. What flavor you got, Maddie?
Watermelon.
That one's pretty good. I love the Red Bull ones, those flavored. I like
Yeah.
the blueberry. But anyway, yeah. PulseChain rocks is pretty much my thesis.
Yeah.
Of
So
that.
there are a lot of people I'm starting to see now that I've done this sacrifice phase. It it created this amazing signal to noise, a ratio that it just got way higher than it was before. Because before, I was only looking at the audience and the community and everybody out there. It's like one group of people who like want PulseChain to succeed. And now what I'm finding is that there are these two subgroups: people who want the price to go up and people who want more than that. And the people who want more than that, they are people such as yourself, I believe,
Oh yeah.
who use PulseChain for more than just gambling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about like the different ways that you use PulseChain?
I mean, first of all, you have p hex. So if you have Ethereum hex, you know that you stake it. It's pretty much a PulseChain certificate of deposit. That sucks when you try to unstake on Ethereum, and that's the reason why it's worse on Ethereum. Um, Even though you technically kind of have more people seeing it and accessible to it on Ethereum, it's almost like a gateway into it, right? Because people know how to
Mm,
use it, and then you'll know why. I mean, Richard Hart literally had to fork Ethereum for Hex in order for it to work correctly, right? That being
yes.
said, I mean, eHex, EICASA, all of that stuff. I mean, it's still valid and cool, and there are still trading opportunities if you're that kind of crypto person. But less gas fees it's crazy. If you need to compound anything in any project and move funds, you don't have to pay a ton of gas every single time. NFTs is one, staking and unstaking is the other. Knowing how our community is kind of bonded through liquidity makes the farming a little bit cooler if you understand it and you're a big fan of ink, which I am. So
Mm.
that's a whole other subject of why Pulse Chains rocks. But it just works better. It's faster. Our community is hilarious. Like, it might take a while for enough people to be able to use the IPFS links or to get used to the bridge and everything, but the functionality is actually really good, and that's why it's different than just a meme coin that gets people's attention and everything. How long did it take to do a hard fork of Ethereum? It took forever,
Mm.
right? And so not everyone could just make a scam fork of Ethereum, right? And
Mm.
pumping up a fork of Ethereum, which doesn't make sense anyway, because the only reason you'd probably be doing that is the lower gas fees, and Richard Hart already did it. So functionally, it's a fantastic, well, it's an ecosystem, but it's Pulse is a fantastic coin, right? It's a better Ethereum. So
That
hold it.
I've been Yeah, everything you said is spot on. And I know for me, I've been going into these Twitter spaces, and I've been invited like 12 times in the past 3 or 4 weeks to speak on Mario's kind of like his like
Yeah.
promo spaces where there's a new meme coin that's like paying to have like the last 15-minute word in the hour, but the rest of the time it's just kind of like these speakers that are invited from all over the place in crypto. And so yeah, it's been really crazy for me because my approach this time has not to be going in guns blazing and saying like Hex is better than whatever you have and like
Because they're
suck it.
expecting that, right? Like, look, all you Richard Hart weirdos, like, you need to cut it out, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, people like they don't necessarily have the same biases before, but they want to talk about their thing, and they want to kind of be like slowly rolled into the idea. Or just, I mean, the way that I form an opinion about somebody outside of the community is I listen to what they have to say and like, think about how much it relates to the things I like and what new ideas I want to learn. And so that's what I've been trying to do, is to like just say something cool about crypto, to get more support and to
Yeah.
get like return invitations and stuff, and to become basically somebody who people like enough to like want to look into PulseChain, basically.
Well, you don't have to hit it like a freight train because we don't have a meme coin, right? Like you could technically take longer to onboard people because, I mean, we're hexagons, although Pulse is it really does have a different function, the hex quite a bit. But anyway, we're going to be here for a long time. So, if you could
Yes.
just be cool and, people are open to hearing what you have to say because you're not just some giant grifter that's just going into Twitter spaces and saying that Richard Hart's the, next coming of Jesus or whatever. Like, you'll probably eventually get people to kind of go over and I have a premium account on Twitter, X or whatever. And the funny thing is, like, I don't necessarily need to convert everybody. Some people are hardcore, like, if someone's obsessed with Solana, I already kind of know if they're open to going outside, or XRP or Monero. That's a whole nother group. It'd be so fun to be a Monero shill because you could just go like make fun of cops and stuff and be like, you can't get my money. You know what I mean? Divorce coin. But
I
you know
mean,
what I mean? Some people are open to it and others aren't. So,
privacy coins actually have like a weak social effect, because the people who, I
yeah.
mean,
they're not trying to be social. It's like,
yeah, they
so what
don't
are you
want
doing
you.
today?
Yeah.
None of your business. You can't trace me. And I
Yeah.
have so many bullets that no one can touch me. And, and I love
That's
the
right.
Monero crowd, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, hey, Monero, would you like to make an NFT? Like, no. you know, some of them are open to it, right? I mean, I was a Monero fan, went to Hex and then the PulseChain, right? So from
Yeah.
Bitcoin, but it depends. It depends. You're not going to get 100% of people to come to your side, and we don't need 100% of the people on our side. But if they like Ethereum but don't like the fees, I mean, come on over, to Pulse.
Well, there are these spaces where kind of, at least the speakers, they sometimes they're interested in like, what is the one thing that will make people want to go to PulseChain. And the low fee argument isn't as strong amongst people who are trading meme coins on Solana and Base right now. And so I'm really looking forward to like, understanding more narratives with the PulseChain conference coming up. I think that there are going to be a ton of people speaking and kind of like showcasing what it is that really PulseChain has that these other two don't.
Well, I think if I were to go and maybe try to convince somebody, you know, and they have to be willing, they have to want to know or find a gem or something like that. I'd say, okay, yeah, Pulse is a fork of Ethereum, hard fork, and it's lower gas fees. But if you kind of just hold a token and don't transact, don't do anything with it, you're not compounding, you're not farming, you're not doing NFTs, like who cares, right? Okay, I just want to get it, might as well be in a centralized exchange. The thing they might not understand is the PulseChain community is made up of Hexicans who are here for, many are here for over 10 years, right? Just based upon the staking. And what that does is give them a community of people that is like, this isn't going to pump and dump and there's no Hexicans in 5 years. It's not possible at this point. Right. So you have a community of people who are willing to stay, not even just for the price of it, but just for the bants and the fact that they're staked and they have to be. Right. And you have the time pays me thing, like you really can't get, you can't even EES. Right. So you have to be there for a certain amount of time. So what are you going to do? You're going to go on Twitter and either fight with people or do marketing or be edgy or whatever. And you're going to be there for years. And you cannot say that about a lot of communities. And almost every Hexican is a PulseChain person. At this point, it'll probably diverge more in the future. And even BitBoy was saying on one of these Twitter talks, like you Hexicans do have to kind of separate a little bit if you want Pulse listed on some of these centralized exchanges, because it isn't Hex. It's made, technically it's forked for Hex, and it's made up almost entirely of Hexicans. But like in a way, I want to push Pulse more for Hex, if that makes sense, because people understand what Ethereum is more than they understand what Hex is if they're brand new, right? So yeah. And it has more of a likelihood of being put on an exchange. And it's basically, it's the blockchain's main token, right? Or coin. So
yeah, I think you nailed it. And this is kind of something that I haven't really tested yet in the outside communities, but I think saying that we have a better community that's going to be here longer than anyone else, there's proof on chain of that. And where are the other communities? Where's their proof that they're going to be around in 10 years and 15 years from now?
I mean, how much cooler are Hexicans than like a lot of people? A lot cooler, I think. Yeah. Like, I'm like, they're funny. Like, not everyone's, oh, next week I need to make 2x. It's like, I'd like to make, I'd like it for it to pump sometime in 10 years. But anyway, dude, how's your dog doing? Right? Like, they're actually friends. And that makes a big difference. And it kind of feeds into the less degenerate and more patient sort of thing. Like, it's kind of more of a conservative value in a way. But, I think psychologically, you're less likely to sabotage yourself because you earned your money. Does that make sense? It has to make sense to you. You would understand probably more than most what I'm talking about there.
Yeah. When people delay gratification and create bonds with each other, with their future self, that creates a different relationship with money and community.
Yeah, absolutely. But
yeah, and So I think right now a huge selling point for PulseChain is the community and the longevity of what we're doing. And you're a fan of longevity as well, is that right?
Yes, I am. We'll see how longev I live. It's interesting. I have been looking up different countries, how many like the average age of the people in which country and whatnot. I'm going to be doxxed, but I'm in Silicon Valley. And so that's it's a big interest for a lot of people out here to get into such. I mean, Richard Harton and Vitalik are, into it.
They're bros.
They're bros.
in
You know,
longevity, at least.
they're forked in their ability to live 800 years, right? They'll be
Yeah,
sipping whiskey in a rocking chair in a spaceship together, right?
that's right.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the way I see it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's another thing that PulseChain has a connection with, and how Pulse is connected to Hex, because Hexagons proved on chain how long-term thinking they are, or will be, kind of like,
Yeah, well, like
forced
how
by
many
the
times
smart
can we
contract.
5 before we expire? Like it's not
Well,
even
yeah,
15 years.
the experiment is underway, and
Right.
the fact that Hexagons raised so much money for this for Aubrey,
Yes.
that that's a big deal. And
Hmm.
I just emailed him today to double check his time to speak at the PulseChain conference, but he, I think, will continue to be a regular speaker, and be able to give us updates, and kind of bring what he's doing back to like this group of people that cares about longevity. You
Right.
and I are
Yeah.
not the only ones who like are deeply involved with like wanting to support Aubrey. So
Right.
yeah, I'm really excited
Absolutely.
to have him on the conference this
Oh,
year.
that'll
I
be
hope.
great. This conference is going to be off the hook. Are you excited? It's
I
going to be a cool.
so I have gotten pretty much a lot of speakers to like give me their availability. And so now, in the next 2 days, I'm building the schedule, and I was working on it today, and it looks like better than ever, which is a huge thing to say, because the last Hex conference, we had 100 speakers and we set a world
That's right.
record and
And we
all
all
kinds
had
of
the
stuff. Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, geez, I got it wrong. Here we go.
That's right. Yeah. Perfect. So, yeah, so like that's all coming up, and I think we'll get an update on the longevity situation there. But it's definitely like a selling point of PulseChain, to have people who are in it long term.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and again, the whole not just longevity of life, but longevity of holding, which any staked Texican has, unless they're just rolling funds over and doing whatnot, which probably wouldn't be smart on the Ethereum chain. But longevity of holding is very important too, and it's what part of what makes us so cool as a group. And so even with the marketing, right? Like I guess I'll bring that up is we have so many users who know each other and are cool. And yeah, there's people fighting and whatever. It can be annoying or funny, but they're there and they're interacting. They're on Telegram, Twitter, and everything. But so if you're if you're one of a few people in a community, and you want to market something, you'd have to have this big giant like marketing campaign, right? Or you'd have to have something really planned because no one's heard of your product. But if you're a Pulsican or a Hexagon, all you have to do is, hey, look, I made a hex logo out of spaghetti noodles. Click, and then you share it a bunch of times. And even though, like, especially during bear times, some people think that's dumb. I'm not gonna make a hex out of spaghetti noodles and post it because think people, look at people like Alex are making hedron and everything. Like I make spaghetti hex, but it's all together. It's a lot. If everybody does something or talks about it, or even like, I don't know, talks to a fast food chain place. It's just, these are just stuff I've done, but it doesn't have to be that. Like go troll Cinnabon or something. I love you,
Oh
Cinnabon, but
yeah.
you know what I mean? Just use social media to be like, hey, buy Hex, just to random things where even though you might not be at a conference and it might not be the most effective place to do it, you never know who's out there. You never know who's like, you know what, I do kind of want to get into crypto, and I want to get into DeFi, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just talk about it a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point. When it comes to the community, people are always experimenting and broadening our social scope, which it's really incredible the fact that so many people even engage on social media. That's kind of what our community is known for. It's like
Yeah, it is.
they started saying we were bots, and then they realized we're not
They're
bots.
not.
These
They're
are real
not.
people. And
Even the
yeah,
SEC is like, oh, these people were paid. Like, no, we're just bros. Like, we literally, like,
yes,
why would you do this without being paid? And it's like, well, internet friendship at this point. All right,
yes.
internet friendship is also currency that you
Digital, yeah,
cannot be
digital
measured in the
friendship.
blockchain.
Yeah.
We just shitpost all day. We're not paid to do it. I mean, we are when it pumps, but like, you can have a lot of fun. Just go and you can have fun here. It's almost like a hobby. You just go and talk to Hexicans and almost any subject. We had a diesel mechanic on us on Clazz's channel. We got Georgia's got a disco in the back and sock puppets. You know, it's like, it's not just coin go up and loneliness. It's have a life outside of the internet too, please, and outside of crypto. But this is just the most fun place to be. So if one of the reasons you want to make money is to have fun and have a place to kind of fit in a little bit, well, what I don't know. I think this is a fun place.
Yeah, totally. It's no wonder that that there are these groups of people that are getting along so well. And I even think
Sometimes.
well, I think part of the drama is that so many diverse groups of people have been brought together. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
that it creates storming and norming, and there are these sub communities that form. But I think that's healthy in the end, as long as that people outside hear the message that you just said, which is you're going to fit in here in one of these groups that's excited about crypto, PulseChain, or Hex.
Well, I like it because the the community is a function of people holding instead of gambling. And that's why I don't think it's
Yes,
bad. Like, it sounds creepy. You can fit in Hexago, like, all right, cult. But no, it's not what it is. It's chilling out and holding a token for a long time. That's the function of why it's so cool. That's what I think it is.
exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of a new relationship that people have to smart contracts.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
that it can,
sometimes Bitcoin people can be like that too if they've held forever, or Ethereum, one of the big coins, like, oh, I've been here since Mount Gox, and I know all my brothers, right?
yeah,
So
that's how they sound. Exactly.
that's how they sound to me.
Yeah. Yes. So I think we're gonna keep like growing the community more and more, as long as people keep participating, and yeah. Um, and so you actually use crypto. I want to go back to that again, because I think I heard you on a stream once talk about gaming, that you play different games on PulseChain. And can you tell my audience like a little bit about that?
Well, a function of the fees being lower is you can kind of mess around with stuff. It's not all games like, um, and I'm not an RH maxi. I'll go in and look at some stuff on PulseChain, other people's projects that are fun. It has to be fun, and it has to. I really like stuff that pays out a yield in some form, right? Whether it be in itself or something else. So, you know, Liquid Loans and Power City both have things where, okay, the Power City has the watt, they have a, you know, Like if you want me to, if it's okay to talk about side projects.
Please
So,
do.
it pays out. It's made to pay out in different things and different rewards. Team is another one of those, like on the Maxi. And really, Hedron and Icasa, the way you can stake those and play around and kind of go on the auctions and figure all of this stuff out. I mean, you could technically say it's a game if your goal is to get the most T shares, and you're winning when you do for the least amount of money. And then you have things like Helgo is kind of tied to Hex, and it's fun, and it's kind of a joke on Helgorian, the old bottom indicator guy. Pulse Kittens is another one. You herd kittens and you get more Pulse Kitten. And there is stuff on the chain that's kind of fun to play with. But I would say, instead of, for me, you guys do whatever. If you're on the computer all the time and you are an expert at knowing how to ride the waves of pumps and everything and new things, by all means do it. But I need to have a white paper. I need to have something that pays in something, even with the NFTs I get. I'm a Watsa. I mean, I don't dox myself all this stuff, but like HSIs, Watsas, those are NFTs technically, and then the HSI is the encapsulated the encapsulated hex stake. We'll probably end up having HMIs pretty soon. I don't know. I'm not Alex, but a lot of these NFTs aren't just art, even though art is fantastic. They have other utilities of either paying out in itself or another token, or being a choose your own adventure game or something. I know Kool-Aid's got something he's doing. And so it's so much. I mean, I have this big list of stuff, and it's not even everything, right? But there's so much more you can do, and you're not just like eating shit on gas fees, right? Like, you're not going to go play around, kittens, when it's like $20 a transaction. You know what I mean? But you can when it's a lot less and the throughput's better, so less gas fees means you can use it more without feeling bad. And I think that's especially true if you had another one of those auction waves with the Hedron, when you're trying to, because you had to pay gas to put your bid up, but then people would outbid you. So that was a real gas sucker if you weren't either overbidding, or there was someone who's just going in and massively, like in the middle of the night, bidding after you. I mean, you're still paying the gas fee, right? So those are some examples of why it's better to use PulseChain than Ethereum, because a lot of us have used Ethereum for Hex and for Hedron and Icasa. And so you feel it. You feel it if you don't have a whole lot of ETH in there.
And those are some of the instances that we've seen already where a PRC20 is more valuable than its ERC origin coin. So Pulse and I think Hedron, although at one point the community was choosing to like keep the two Hedrons around the same price.
Yeah.
Due to speculation, but
yeah. Oh, and then there's PDI. I guess they're trying to peg that to $1 or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
By all means, the more of us can walk away with the fat bag, the better,
I mean, you never know what PRCs could be worth someday.
That's true. Yeah.
Like we've already got a couple examples of ones that are more valuable than than they started with. So.
Yeah. And by the way, PulseX is awesome too, right? I mean, that whole exchange, when it gets pumping, it's going to be great. And people that know how to use it correctly and know how valuable ink is are going to be thankful, even during this time of relative quiet, of how it is structured and how it's set up, because it's very brilliant the way it's set up. And don't forget PulseX rocks.
Yeah, I really like all of the RH tickers. I think that they're all they have really strong utility and use cases. So.
Everyone is solidly made for something else. But remember, and I have a PulseChain badge, not a Hex badge, because I think it's very important to push PulseChain for Hex, and I love both. But for Richard, these things have been forks except for Hex. So if you think about it, Hex has really been the one that he's just purely, you know what, we need a certificate of deposit on the blockchain, right? So don't forget that's his first baby. I'm not Richard. I can't speak for him, but I'm willing to gander a guess that he still has Hex tattooed on his heart. Maybe he has a hexagonal heart with 5 chambers.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Sorry, Maddie, that was weird.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. I think we've all wondered about Richard's heart shape at one point or another. We got Crypto7 in the chat. We got Hex Monkey here too, and
sorry, I haven't been looking at the chat.
A bunch of people who are showing up and showing their support. So Hodpril, I feel like I have a new cycle 1 narrative that is just so good that I can't even be the one to like name it. I kind of want to see what emergent properties it has in the community. And so there has been more and more people paying attention to the mystery that is unfolding with what I'm building and kind of where my head is at with how we can get PulseChain more adopted. And so it's kind of been fun to see how people react. There were over 400 people who chose to drop a fresh wallet address under the premise that this is a new game and you don't know what all the steps are ahead of time.
That's right. And if it's a fresh wallet, it's fine. So make it fresh as possible. No traceability, especially if you're posting on the X. But
because you don't want to dox your whole transaction history, probably. So I've always emphasized the fresh aspect of that. It's been really interesting. I'm really excited about like the group of users that have decided. I manually went through until my hand hurt so much I couldn't keep going, copy and pasting the addresses and getting the experiment started.
As long as you're taking hand breaks.
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's and I was also able to reduce the number of clicks by using a batch send protocol that is pretty sweet.
Yes.
And so it's been really exciting to see how much everybody else is responding to this type of kind of mystery. And so I'm thrilled that there are so many people who they're here for more than just the price of something. And it'll be really cool to see how this mystery unfolds.
Oh yeah. Funny question. Like I have a Japanese, not a question, it's a comment. Yen has gone down compared to the dollar quite a bit. And so compared to the yen, it's like, oh, Hex, or, Pulse kind of hasn't really, it's going up like, compared to the yen. It's pretty funny.
I mean, do we have like a postcard distribution system in Japan? We could take advantage of this.
Oh, you know what would be weird? I just thought about this right now because we're utilizing hardcore internet friendship and we're using our technological minds together.
That's right.
Don't like ham radio people have addresses? Just like send ham radio cards like, hello, hey there, boomer.
We could send them some pulse on the ham radio.
Yeah. I wish you could send, maybe you can't. I don't think so. Send pulse on on radio wave on a specific frequency, like a pulse, like a blockchain. I don't know. I'm getting weird.
There are there are so many Easter eggs in the system that I'm building. I think anybody who cares about like a new way to do things, or like kind of a different relationship to have with crypto, I think they're going to be really really excited to see how it works.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's, let me see if I can give a hint here without like spoiling all the surprises.
I'm gonna write it down. I'll figure it out.
So when you're onboarding somebody, you want it to be easy. And for example, I used to onboard people with a physical coin. I've shown these off before, but they're made in Thailand by the guy who created the Bitcoin logo.
Oh, cool.
Somebody actually had to create the Bitcoin logo because
yeah.
Satoshi didn't do it with the circuit boards and stuff. You know, of course, you got the slanted B with the line through it and everything. But the image that everybody thinks of when they think Bitcoin is this physical round coin with circuits on it.
Orange. Yeah, it's gold. And then Litecoin was silver, right? Like it doesn't have to be, but it became that as people were transitioning from their fiat brain to the digital world. I mean, really, the first cars resembled horse carriages too, right? Like you don't have.
That's right.
It doesn't have to resemble that, but I mean, you know, there are still people that are very fiat and or precious metal oriented. You know that.
I just have to step away from the computer like 2 steps to like grab what I'm talking about.
Goodbye, Maddie.
It'll make the story better.
See you in 10 minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hodpril show. Let me look at the chat here. I'm going to drink my energy drink, and we're going to have a rockin' Thursday. Okay, hi, Maddie.
So this is a this is a 1 ounce Ethereum coin.
Oh, and they went with copper. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I like the Ethereum logo a lot, actually.
And it's got a tamper evident seal on the back, and it has a private key that's a laser etched into you know,
kind of like the paper metal Bitcoin wallets that I don't know if people have ever bought Bitcoin off of a 7-Eleven kiosk, but you should give it a shot just to see how weird it is. But you can get a physical paper wallet printed out.
What you're thinking is exactly along the right lines. I use this as an example to onboard like family and friends, and I've onboarded over it's probably in between 100 and 150 people using these coins.
Could you imagine? Do you imagine going like, okay, so there's a house in Louisiana, and they're you know, it's kind of old and rickety, and then all of a sudden you find a treasure chest, right? And like, oh man, this looks like a pirate had it. And you open it up, and it's just a treasure chest filled with like gold Bitcoins.
I may or may not like have that myself, but
Docs, Maddie has a Bitcoin
of course it's
chest.
it's like not that easy to hack because I don't keep it on me. So you're thinking along the right lines. Like, how much easier is it for me to onboard somebody into Hex or PulseChain or whatever if I can just hand them something and it's already got a time lock on it? It's already got a Hex stake on it. So that's what I've done for tons of onboards. And then if they, you know, and this only works for people if like I'm gifting them the money. It doesn't work for like me, you know, like onboarding a stranger or whatever. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm just saying that this has extremely high utility because the person who's getting into crypto, they don't have to do anything. They just hold the coin and it's got the private key on it. But there's always been a problem with this method. The problem is, how do I trust the guy who made the private key, that
Right.
he didn't keep a copy. And so it's always been something where, you know, I tell people, don't put more than $100 on it. Like, you know, this is a poor security practice. This is not how crypto is meant to be. But I wish that there was a way to fix that problem, basically, to have the ease of handing somebody a paper wallet or a coin with value on it, and then they can start using that without having to trust the person that gave it to them, like that they kept a copy and all that. I gave a couple of these coins to the two skeptics in the highest of stakes, Lamont Black and Kelly Richmond Pope.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, so this is like, this is a revolutionary way to onboard people, or like it could be, you know, you could print private keys on stadium tickets and onboard 20,000 people all in one step. But again, you've got this problem of like, either the person has to write down 12 words without taking a picture of it,
Right.
which a lot of people don't want to do, or you know, people have to spend time, like lots of time that they don't have because they're in like a broken system that keeps them like very busy. So this is like, I believe that this is like a barrier to entry for like millions, probably billions of people, is like just how do you get people into the best practices without the trade-off of like them having to spend more time. And
and they're gonna have to figure out how to get that back to fiat if they're kind of normies anyway. Like, oh, I'll pulse one up. I want to sell it to dollars. Like, oh, it's on a coin. All right. Okay. Well, you got a wallet, right? Put that in there, and then we're gonna use the bridge. You're gonna bridge back to Ethereum, so you're gonna have a little fee involved. So hopefully there's some pulse in there, right? That you can pay the fee with. And
I think in a couple of years, people might be able to use Pulse on its own without.
Yeah, I think so
back.
too. I think I think if people are just patient for a couple of years, and I think they also forgot, although Ethereum was pretty big because people had to sacrifice Bitcoin to originally get Ethereum, right? If I remember correctly, like the first, wave. But Ethereum took a few years for people to get comfortable with, and they did not have the same community that Pulse did immediately getting it. We all already understand ERC20s relatively, and all we're like waiting on is, in a way, Richard with court stuff, right? But also, eventual ease of either people are more comfortable using IPFS links and bridges and everything, because they're going to have to be, right? Or it becomes a little more.
I may have had a breakthrough technologically to where people could have an easier way to onboard and know that they hold the private key without someone having a copy of it.
Oh, good. Because that's the thing. Like you said, whoever's forging that coin, like, better hope he's a monk with a, morals of steel, or that thing's going to get emptied.
I believe this man to be the unusual instance of somebody that I would trust more than like nothing, because I've just known him for so many years as somebody who hasn't rugged, and he was so early to Bitcoin, being the actual person who invented the logo. That I found this guy back in like 2016 when I was first getting into crypto, and he had like a long track record even at that time. But the problem still remains that like, wow, we have like a really cool way to onboard people, but we don't have like a technical solution to.
Well, you know what? You could say like, here you go. Now what I'm going to need you to do is transfer this to another wallet. Like, see what's in there. I'm going to teach you how to make your own wallet and transfer it, right? Because again, like, there's no 100% safe way if you have like unless you're literally minting it yourself, right? And then even then, the person you're giving to has to trust you to not, give him a gift and take it away, even though you gave it to him, right? Because you know the key, because you forged it, right?
So let's take the example of Lamont Black. So Lamont Black, he teaches crypto, but he, like wasn't ready to do the whole hex staking thing or whatever. So I gifted him a physical coin with Deci in a time
Oh
pays me
yeah,
vault.
okay, yeah.
Okay. And the fact that I gifted him Deci in a time pays me vault is particularly interesting because it turns out that with a time pays me vault, you can come back later and add a recovery address that represents your own seed phrase that you
Oh,
created.
that's what you're saying. Okay. That's your way around it.
And this, it feels like a huge breakthrough in this age-old problem of how do you onboard a stadium full of people without them having to do anything?
Yeah.
Well, you print something of value on their ticket, like QR code that represents the $2 upcharge that you built into their ticket from the get-go, if you're the stadium, and all of a sudden now people sometimes they keep their tickets anyway, but maybe it says like a little something on there, like there's crypto on this, like keep it. And
there's gonna be fights in the parking lot. They're gonna be drunk fighting each other for over their tickets.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways that this could go wrong. But I could also see somebody going around and picking up all like the tickets that people just like throw on the ground.
Here's something, and I know you understand this out of people because of what you do. There are going to be people that look at it like screw crypto and just toss it. So like the person picking them up is not a jerk. They're just, well, all right, snooze you lose, wham. I have.
Yeah, I mean, there could be any kind of system to like actually sweep back the funds that aren't claimed, basically. But there could be a system here where people are able to claim, maybe there's, again, like,
check it out, Maddie. They have to do it with
this
scratchers, right?
That I have thought of that. Yeah,
you probably have. You've been thinking about this.
But
just get a film on it and just scratch it out.
Whatever the implementation is, maybe Mr. Beast like puts up a QR code and then it like takes people to something where they can claim it like individually, even though it's just one like single code. There are lots of ways that we can digitally distribute things and get people started without them having to start with writing down 12 words. And I think if we paid people using like a cashback system or like a whale funded program or anything, like the cost to acquire new users on PulseChain is just so much lower than anything else. And with with this system of people being able to come back later and like increase their security posture after the fact, maybe when whatever they've been gifted or gotten cash back is worth more. I think this is how I'm thinking about how we get crypto to scale to the next million people.
And again, they're forced to hold too, right? You could technically do that right with Pulse instead of even Hex if you're doing the time pays me, right? And then you do the all right. It's kind of like one of these trusts that will only pay out in 10 years or something. You can specify that on there. I think I'm correct in my analyzation of it.
The truth is that anything we can think of can be programmed into money to some extent. Like, because I've had the chance to like speak to a brilliant developer every day for an hour for the past 3 years, like I have like a really strong appreciation of like, it is really hard to build something like time pays me. It took us about a year or more to do.
I'd imagine.
Like intensely working on it. But now there are multiple emergent Easter egg utilities that are coming out of it. And that's really got me excited, because I think as the community follows along with not just like learning how it can be used, but experiencing that, I
Well,
think that
because
could
a good
create a lot of
question is
value.
like, you know, if like for Hex, for example, like, well, if I can stake for 10 years, why would I need time pays me? Because I'm already staked for 10 years. And your answer is, well, there's a lot more utility with time pays me, because first of all, you're not going to nuke your stake. Like you cannot do that. And, people are like, well, I wouldn't anyway. Like, oh yeah, you don't know that. You think there's a high probability you won't.
Yeah, I
But
mean, like,
life is tough. You don't know. So you might not, it just takes one crying call from someone who needs a hand for you to be like, you know what, this is more important. And you'd be right, but you still are doing it, right? You still are nuking your state.
yeah, it like gifting people. I mean, I've it helped people get like a Uniswap airdrop, and that turned into, you know, over a million now. It's probably 2 million now hex, when staked for 10 years. And yeah, I just have to hope that they're not going to cheat their bag when it's halfway through, but they probably will. And now when I onboard people like Lamont Black, what I do is I take Deci, I put it onto a coin,
Yeah.
and I put it in time pays me for it to drip back to him for 20 years. So it's like a 20-year bond, and there's no gas problem that's happening, really. And it's like a continual staking ladder for all 20 years, because it drips out over the time of whatever set. So yeah, like that seems like an upgrade or an alternative to like how people use hex now, which is like, a single time point that they're staking to, and there are no gas efficiencies, and there's the ability to EES, and there's not a drip function that's paying you consistently.
And you can time pays me anything on the PulseChain, right? Am I correct on that?
Anything that's on the whitelist,
Oh,
which
on the whitelist. Okay.
we add things whenever
Oh,
people
that makes
ask.
sense. Yeah.
Like even recently, there have been a lot of founders who have been wanting to lock their entire supply so that they can prove to others that they're not going to rug pull.
You know what you can stake for a very long time? The
What's
party
that?
token.
Oh
You
yeah,
can
is
stake
that
that for a
100 years?
long. It's something like that. I
Yeah.
think you can. It's like, damn. You could time pays me. What's the high end? What's the longest you can lock something up for?
So I very intentionally chose 55 years, not just because it's two fives that are next to each
Yeah.
other, but because once you're an adult, at the age of like 21, like kind of in like financial and neurological terms, you live 55 years on average in the United States. So I didn't I didn't want it to be something where like you're you're like basically like jeeting your economic energy into like the next generation whenever you could. There are like philosophical like longevity reasons why I wanted like basically like why don't we solve aging first before you like send your money 100 years in the future, and it
Yeah.
goes and it's not solving anything now.
I mean, your
Uh,
kids could get it though. I mean, you could do partial, but you know what I mean. Assuming that they're going to even know how to use it or be interested or find your phrase or whatever.
well,
Yeah.
there's also an inheritance Easter egg that's built into time pays me
Oh, cool. You know
that I
what? I
won't go
thought
into
that would
now,
be.
but
I
that's
would thought that would
already
be
in there.
really good. Or like, not that you should ever hide your funds in case of a divorce or anything. But it's almost kind of one of these things where it's like, if you really don't want anyone touching your money or mother, if you don't want anyone touching your money, you could either obfuscate it or lock it for so long that no one can touch it. Right?
There's okay. So I'll since we're already on the topic, I'll describe. So
Okay.
the dead man switch in Time Pays Me
Oh,
is where if
that's
your longest lock expires and it's been a year after that, then the recovery address can take control. So this
oh,
this is better than a Gnosis safe, because a Gnosis safe, if I'm planning for inheritance, I have to give an actual signing address to the lawyer or to the kids, etc. Whereas
mm.
with Time Pays Me, I could set up a separate seed phrase for myself for
It's
each
more
inheritant.
DeFi.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can take the seed word for the recovery address and give it to the lawyer, and the lawyer can't do anything with it yet. So they don't have control of the funds, or the kids could have
Oh,
the
that's
recovery
cool.
address. There's a separate seed for each person in the mix, like one for each inheritant. For me, like, so I might, if I have three people inheriting something, I have three seed phrases set up, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
each of
that's
them
pretty
have one.
cool that you can
Yeah,
split it up.
yeah, and so
Nice.
this is, yeah, there are so many things that you can do with this, because just because of the emergent properties of like wanting to time lock anything, made it so that we had these security breakthroughs. Like, oh, you can, yeah. So
That's
it's
pretty
really
cool,
nice.
Maddie.
It's really nice. There's like a whole ecosystem of like of Easter eggs here.
Well, that really answers the questions of, why do this instead of Hex, or why I wouldn't trust myself. Why do I need to lock up my stuff? It's like there are real answers to that. Inheritance being one of them. Really protecting yourself from I don't know, lawyers, police, people minting solid coins, just all sorts of
Yeah,
various things.
it's
You know.
like a trust that you don't need a middleman for. Um, because yeah, because I can set up a drip for somebody who I want, like a family member that I want to gift this crypto to, and then they won't have to have sudden wealth
Yeah.
syndrome right away, because I can transfer the vault having already set up the drip for them. So it's,
It's
yeah, it's
crazy. I've been
crazy.
reading some of these books on like the brain, and sometimes when people can be in sort either like accidents or like get hit or boxing or whatever, you could, if there's either temporary or permanent brain damage, some people can actually start acting differently or forgetting stuff, or
Mm,
having a personality change, right? Most of the time it isn't permanent, but sometimes it is. And I know that sounds, like crazy, but that does happen to people. So that's one of those things where it's like, okay, you don't have to put all of your funds in something like this. You really don't. You can divest and do different things, but you never know. Or addiction, like all of a sudden you find that you're drinking too much, and that could start at 25 or 35 or something, and you never did that before. Like, you don't necessarily know. And I'm getting religious with this. You don't know what God has in store, what kind of
mm-hmm.
obstacles are going to come in your life, and some of that could be a test of your own self, kind of like Tony Stark, Iron Man. Like, all his biggest obstacle is himself and how much he changes, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of these things where you're a human too. And I mean, just that by, anyone using this stuff, like, as weird as it is, you're technically a liability against yourself if anything were to happen like that, unfortunately. So that's not a 0% chance of happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so there are lots of different ways to do DeFi and to kind of set up your life and your outlook on it. But like we saw with the example of Hex, changing people's behavior, not only at the individual level but at the community level. You and I talked about that earlier.
yeah.
I really think that there are aspects of Time Pays Me that could have a similar positive effect on group behavior as well. And so
Yeah.
I won't be able to say exactly what I'm building, because there are these like discrete functions of my sacrifice is a finished product. It's you're putting yourself on a list of people
Mm,
who like the freedom to sign a transaction. And, I've gone so far as to say, well, it's a real sacrifice like Richard's. You get nothing. That's really clear. No expectations. And
expectations.
people who were at the top of Richard's list, they were really happy at the end of the day. And so being at the top of this list, I think it fills my heart with joy that there are people who believe so much in the community and in the idea of a sacrifice being like pure. It's like, well, yeah, there are no promises, and like we're not even going to hint at anything material that people are getting. But I guess I did want to like throw out one more Easter egg, if you're ready for it.
I got my pen and paper, mi amigo.
So like one of the things that was so cool to me about T-shares is that they used to be non-transferable, and that is kind of special because like you're signing up for something and like sticking to it, right? And we got to see how the system evolved to like being able to transfer with HSIs and stuff like that. But I think to myself like what would it look like if people were able to, let's say, like if people were on a list for PulseX, let's say people like they were getting airdropped based on their participation in PulseX. Like, what if the fees from PulseX, what if like instead of going to like token holders, they just went to like the original addresses on the list? That would be kind of a situation where you're able to like free claim from a fee pool like in perpetuity, but it doesn't create a tradable token that can get dumped right after it launches. And that kind of like creates a different system of cooperation like we see in Hex. Maybe the part of the secret sauce of what makes Hex so long lasting and positive for some people is the non-transferability.
Yeah. A bit of that is Watsa-esque, but it's not exactly the same thing.
How
The
so?
closed. Well, and maybe I got this right, maybe not. But the whole idea of, okay, you have a set of people who got into this and then it's closed. So it's kind of like a set of closed people who will get a specific yield, or it was actually a percentage of the yield of you got ICASA. I think it was percentage of was it the Hedron stake or something? But it's in perpetuity, right? Like if you were part of the people who decided to get Watsa, and yeah, you can transfer it because you can buy it because it's an NFT. So you could technically go on OpenSea or any of these Hex things and buy the NFT that the Watsa is, but there aren't any more being made. And so when people burn it to get their funds, that pool is shrunk. So like the people who are still holding the Watsa will end up getting more of the payout over time, assuming it's the same amount of users, because as more people burn it, it shrinks, and that set getting that, like collecting those fees from that staking platform will get smaller. So anyway, yeah, it's just one of those things where you sacrifice and then you get the fees, sort of thing.
I like the aspect of your comparison there,
But it's not the same. It's not exactly
like,
the same.
Yeah, it's there's a defined set of users that did something that are now being rewarded into the future,
Yeah.
and but they can't cheat,
Yeah.
and it it makes it so that you would want to participate in that group instead of like waiting to buy a dip of like an airdrop of a token that like was related to a sacrifice or whatever. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. But I think that there's one way that that system could be even better. This idea of like a tokenless kind of like launch of a fee sharing thing, and it would be like if the Hex referral system had been perpetual, then you would have not only the relationship between like the people who are driving the engine forward with like bringing in new people and those network effect people, those YouTubers and content creators, they would be they'd be rewarded in an ongoing way based on their performance, like a referral system. And then at the same time, you could have the best of both worlds in a sense, where you have the stakers creating their unique emergent social properties of marketing, and then you've got people who maybe didn't participate, and now they can win as well. Because I think the way to get more people involved in crypto is to create more opportunities for people to win without necessarily having to put energy into gambling.
You know what else? Like, your friends aren't exit liquidity, right? Like,
right.
when you make money, when you make a profit, right, and you do it real quick with a group that you've onboarded, you're taking their money.
Yeah, it creates a conflict.
But if you put into a pool and say, okay, I'm doing this and I'm going to do this for this amount of time, and if I don't, then I eat the fee and I don't make as much. And so you already know what the deal is. You're not being scammed by your friends out of your funds.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're doing something useful, like onboarding somebody to crypto, and there's a small set fee that is being created, that might be a better system than dumping on people. Or why is it that everybody in my life only wants to buy crypto whenever I'm, cashing out?
Oh yeah, and then they buy it.
It's like
you might as well just go on GoPulse. Like, oh, what's green? Okay, I'm gonna put all my money in everything that's green, and then the wave goes back down. Oh, like, you should really be buying the reds, but no one does unless they're us, right, Maddie? So
that's right. Yeah, it takes a number of years in some cases of experience with markets to be able to buy on red days and sell on green days.
You have a group of, this isn't really funny, but I've been here so long. You have a group of just 19 friends. It's like, oh, I'm going to make, like block coin. Like, oh, cool. Then you go in like, oh, liquidity pool, like $1,000 or whatever. And all of a sudden, oh, it's up to $3,000. All your friends getting together like, oh, interrupt. What are you supposed to do? Meet for pizza the next week? Like, hey, I'm buying pizza, everybody. Like,
yeah,
you know what you did? You rugged us. It has to happen somewhere.
This is part of the.
It's not that funny. Problem. Yeah, it is.
It's part of the problem with us being able to break out of this this middleman system of money and get into a freer version of money. Is
with it being simple enough. Right? Because you were saying, one thing about DeFi is it's decentralized finance, right? That's where it comes from. And the fact that it's not centralized means that, you need to be more careful of scammers. And, Papa will tell you about, the cold hardware wallets that you really need when you do DeFi, especially, right? Like, and, the IPFS links sometimes, and it's harder to use. So it's kind of harder to onboard people that don't know it. And any way you could find that's easier and still safe is awesome, because that is an issue, right? It's easier for someone to tell, okay, on Venmo, buy some Bitcoin. Like, that's way easier than, okay, we're going to teach you DeFi. It's you can do more with it, but it is a harder level. It's to,
So I think people who are new into crypto should get started for free. I think that it, we could give away on a massive scale a share, for lack of a better term, a share in the system's like future success, as a way, as a peer-to-peer cash, as a representation of our own productivity, which is, that's what money's based on, is not the money printer, but it's the people who are saving your life at the hospital, or the people who are, you know, creating the content that educates you to do some useful thing like building a house, or, you know, whatever it is, like the goods and services, that is what money comes down to in the end. And yeah, so I'm excited to see how we can take what we have here, which on PulseChain is the first time we've had programmable money with low fees, and not a shitload of dickhead VCs.
Yeah, I know. Definitely. And that's going to be our strength. And a lot of people do know it and see it, but if you're just looking at charts, you don't realize what's happening behind the scenes, what's bubbling, even with PulseX, and the fact that, you know, it's not VC, it's not, you know, it's not in the hands of necessarily in the hands of a malicious oligarchy, right? That's ready to, you know, throw the hammer down on humanity and wreck them. Like, people are all just here, basically wanting to not only they want their bags to pump, but I think people will be here long term too. There's a large proportion of people who will be here just because they like the product. And even if they make money, they'll maybe put back in or market or help other people or spread the word, because it's such a cool thing, right? And so it's nice when the more you spend with crypto, and especially DeFi, the more you realize, like, anyone who just wants to kind of bully and take everyone's money and go is often actually not the person who's holding the bag in the end. Like, even if they do make a lot of fiat out of it, right? And they go get a Lambo, or they go screw off and liquor ladies and leverage, right? Like, they're not left with anything at the end. I've noticed that a lot. So
yeah, the true winners are the people who aren't addicted to the gambling side of things.
Exactly. Yeah. So even though all you see are some of these people pumping and dumping and winning, like, you don't see the rest of it. You want people who have been here, who like it, who are willing to stick around, right? And
yeah,
so we don't need the VC gambling weirdness.
And I think there are a couple of people in the chat who are like, you know, trying to call me out for talking about Hex so consistently that I even talked about it when it was 50 cents and when it was a third of a penny. And yeah, like, to anybody who bought the 50-cent top and didn't buy any lower since then, I've been in your shoes. I think almost probably about 2/3 or more it's probably either the 2/3 rule or the 80-20 rule, but probably somewhere between 2/3 and 80% of people who are in crypto, their first cycle, they're down because you find out about it at the top. And that was my case for sure. I didn't put a significant amount of money into crypto at first. My first investment was $20 in 2016. And then it wasn't until mid 2017 that I started buying all the way to the top. And then I was underwater in my life savings that I put into this thing, Bitcoin, for a long time. And it sucked. And I think that's everybody's experience almost in crypto. And so at the end of the day,
long-term ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you were just there for a quick pump and it didn't work out in your favor, then you were gambling. And that's something we never have been preaching in Hex. It's about being in it for 5, 10, 15 years. And so, yeah, like I felt the pain of being down my first cycle in crypto. And it
And it was
took,
down for a while too.
yeah,
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 if
yeah,
my
it was a
math is
long
right
time.
on the dates
It was
there,
a long time.
it took a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's hope, and I relied on YouTubers like uh, the World Crypto Network and Richard Hart. That's how I found him. Was he was telling people in the bear market like buy more Bitcoin, like try this thing called Hex, this Bitcoin Hex thing. It's gonna launch soon.
Oh
So
yeah, it was Bitcoin Hex at first, right?
yeah,
Like because it is supposed to kind of be a better Bitcoin.
I
Like that
think it
was
is.
originally what it was supposed to be. But I mean, that's long ago enough for it to be that much closer to the original launch of Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin isn't even that old. It's still brand new in the scheme of things. It's crazy how fast things have gone. It's nuts.
Yeah, and so yeah, I love that we have such an awesome YouTuber community, people who watch the streams, people who participate on chain. I think we got something special here. And Hodpril, I am so happy that you are one of the real ones out here.
Mwah. Absolutely. This is so much fun. It really is just fun because everyone's cool and it's a good product. And I know that Hex will be 50 cents again someday. You know, if you just have to be patient and, you know, if you're staked and patient and other people give up on it, well, guess what? The daily payouts per teach share are going to be pretty significant. They've all touched closer to 7 and even 9 lately than it used to be. So what's going to happen when that price goes up? Well, each one of those hex that you earn every day is going to be worth more. So really all you really have to do is just nothing.
Yeah.
Just don't EES. Like I know it's hard for people to do nothing. You technically, I mean, it's better if you accumulate right now, especially in ink kind of go down. Like that's an excellent time to start accumulating that. Let me see. But yeah, if you don't have fiat, a lot of people don't have a lot of money on them lately, especially now political, whatever, right? Everything's getting more expensive. All you have to do is nothing, you know. Although I think you should still spread the word and whatnot. But if you do want to accumulate, God, what a time. Let me see. It's gonna go up. It's gonna, yeah. But yeah, I love this ecosystem. I've been through, you know, times where the crypto isn't worth much, and times when it has been a lot. And a big part of the reason I never even took any out is like, I don't want to pay capital gains. Like,
Yeah.
just hold. You know what I mean? It's
I
kind of a funny reason.
I pay my taxes,
I do
and
too. Yeah.
I want to live in a world someday where like the economic energy in crypto can be conserved, and you know, can remove middlemen as much as possible. We've got a lot more middlemen to remove than just the final boss of the tax man. But
Yeah.
yeah, for now, especially with like Roger Ver getting getting arrested and stuff, it's a good
Oh yeah, you
time
guys should probably pay your
to
taxes.
plug paying taxes.
Probably pay your taxes. I
Unfortunately,
mean, this is not financial advice. I am not your CPA.
yeah, none
But
of that here.
none of that.
Um, and yeah, so speaking also to people, if you don't have like large bags to to be buying these cheap prices now, one thing that I've always been excited about is free airdrops. And I know that that space has gotten really scammy in the past couple of years compared to before. But I made a list the other day that I haven't discussed on my YouTube channel yet. But I made a list of my top 9 airdrops that I've gotten where it was free for me to get this.
Oh,
And
cool. Yeah.
so is it okay if I run through that here real quick
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
to
You know,
give people an idea of like how much you can win in crypto without really spending hardly
yeah.
anything.
I
Like
highly suggest people do these with fresh wallets. Anyway,
fresh
continue.
wallets. That
Yes.
is the smartest way to do it. And
Oh,
I
mercy.
would just avoid most airdrops and free claims. I would never search like that term on Google. It
Oh
would be
no,
100% a scam. So it's
no.
like only people that you trust, which should be very few people, would and it really depends on like what the person's asking you to do. Like you never share your seed words, you never like approve unknown things in your wallet. So
Oh, the permissions. So like
that's
you can either use time or money. And if you don't use the money, then you should use the time to fully research these
yeah,
airdrops.
yeah. And you know, I've got a free claim that's happening now that I want more people to participate in, and that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But you know, those two things have to be separate conversations in a sense because no expectations, and I don't just want I don't want too many greedy people in the free claim. But so far, I was surprised that there have not been like any bot farms or anything. Like it's all been real people who are.
I am
selling real
surprised
things.
too, actually. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh man,
I am.
all right, man.
I'm
You're
shocked.
gonna get
I'm shocked. So in 2019, I got Hex, which at the top would have been worth like $16,000, but I didn't sell, and now it's worth like much less. But that was a
and
free
that's
claim,
okay. Yeah.
and that's okay. That's the only thing on this list of 9 that I didn't sell. Hex.
Oh,
2019.
okay. Yeah. So you
2019.
technically actually have like a straight profit from
Airdrop / free claim list.
you.
2019 Mimblewimble
Yeah.
coin. I got $800 for free, and I got to sell that on after it did a 5x. 2020, I got $5,400 for free from Uniswap.
Oh,
I sold that.
cool. Yeah.
2021, I got $4,400 from 1inch. From just clicking a couple buttons on their site. 2021, Ethereum name service, $10,200.
Oh, right on, Maddie. That's good. That's cool.
Hedron was like multiple tens of thousands
Oh
of dollars.
yeah, with all the hex. Oh yeah.
That,
and especially if you did the 10x bonus.
So that bought the DeLorean. That's how the DeLorean got.
Thanks,
thrown into
Alex.
Yeah. But that was an airdrop / free claim. Then in 2022, we had a PLSD, I think was about $12,000 or something. And then a PulseChain in 2023, that is technically an airdrop. And I am not saying how much what the value was there.
But almost every ERC20 token you held was copied over too.
Yeah. It was the world's largest airdrop.
I think it says so on this can. Oh yeah. Thousands of Ethereum-based tokens and NFTs received their free airdropped PulseChain versions. It's right there.
Let's go.
Go team.
The last one on here was 2024 Gnosis Safe, $4,300. And you got to be super careful with that one. If you didn't claim the points a year and a half ago, don't even bother looking for it because there are so many scams associated. And if you did create the points a year and a half ago, then only go to the website safe.global to claim your coins there. But that one's that's an interesting one too, because they kind of copied Hex a little bit and they put the claim on a drip. And so anybody who qualified for that will get more tokens in the coming years because of the drip that is happening.
Well, that makes sense with the Gnosis Safe. I mean, it's almost like advertising their whole thing, you know?
Yeah. They're well, I think they're copying us, and
a lot of things copy us. But to be fair, we hard copied Ethereum.
Facts.
It's a hard fork.
Yeah,
So if
it's
something's already done, you just do it and then
Yep.
then improve it, you know.
So anybody who hasn't done the free claim for my thing, like it doesn't cost you anything, and basically you post a fresh wallet address on my tweet, and then you wait until you, if you get Pulse, if you get 1,000 Pulse that shows up in your fresh wallet, then you go to timepays.me and click the next step. It's a surprise.
It's rocking.
It's a puzzle. So
That's cool.
And then there should be more and more steps that go along with that as they emerge. So there you go. Well,
Awesome.
Hodpril, it's been really awesome having you on. And,
Yeah, what a good stream. I had fun.
Yeah.
This is a cool talk. You're awesome.
Likewise. And I'm looking forward to having you back on the channel for the PulseChain conference coming
That's
up
right. Yeah.
in just 1 week and 1 day from now.
That's right.
So I'll get the schedule for that put together in the next couple of days based on everybody's availability. And yeah, just really excited about everything that's happening in PulseChain. So why don't you tell people where to find you?
All right. I am Hodpril on Telegram, although I'm not on as often as I used to be. And I am Hodpril on Twitter X. So you can find me those 2 places. And that's it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and then I've got your links in the description below for anybody. I would highly recommend you all go and follow Hodpril because she's one of the realest community members that we have, very knowledgeable and true to.
And a real jokester on the internet. So barrels of fun.
So awesome. Well, thanks again for being on. And until next time, stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.